We're in Rule 4 now. The only true title to anything is the MSO, or Manufacturer's Statement of Origin. This, although it may be difficult to read from the screen, you'll be able to get a copy of it, of course, with the handout. You get the entire presentation, the entire PowerPoint presentation. This is the actual application for a birth certificate. This is the form that the poor mother has to fill out. She's a little dazed and confused. She's just gone through the trauma of bringing this child into the world. She might even be drugged a little bit, and she's given this form. And this form actually says, this form is not to be used for making the actual declaration. Declarations are how we create, right? I declare that I will operate all vehicles under the Motor Vehicle Code. Or in this case, I declare that I created a bastard child, that there is no father, and I pray that the state will step in and become the father for this poor bastard child. So this form is the application for the registration, but apparently in addition to it, there's another declaration that's required, because this one says this form is not to be used for making the actual declaration. Mother's specimen form or statutory declaration. So there's a whole other side of this registration. They really want to make sure they get their claws in deep, so nobody can come along later and say, well, I was a little dazed and confused and I didn't really know what was going on. And just to make sure that the right authority goes to the right entity, they make the mother fill it out with her maiden name. That's crazy, right? But here's what's going on. There is a chain of title, a chain of command, and within a house, that chain of command starts with the head of that house. When that head of the house eliminates paganism and he rules that head, that house, as the head correctly and follows Scripture, he gets this envelope of protection that extends out from him to every member of his house. My family members aren't here to give you their personal testimony or experience, but I can give you a quick overview. My son is actually attending the public school system because he'd rather do that than homeschool at this current juncture in time. And attending 8th grade, when he was little smaller, he used to get picked on here and there, and he got this growth spurt. He's now bigger than all the guys that used to pick on him, and he's kind of not taking crap from them anymore. So he ends up getting suspended 3 or 4 times in a month for standing up for himself, basically. Now, all I did was draft the principal and the school board and inform them of the true nature of title. What I did was I told them that I created my son, that I had not registered him anywhere, because even 14 and 15 years ago, when my children were coming into this world, I knew that those applications for registration for those birth certificates were heinous and evil, and that I didn't want any part of them. And I knew that they were pagan, and I knew that in order to gain that protection for my family, I had to steer clear of those contracts, which I did. It took 4 hours from the time that I hand-delivered the copy to the principal. I had not even mailed the copy to the school board yet, and I got a call from the school apologizing for any inconvenience, assuring me that he was not in any further trouble, that he could return to school if he chose or stay home if he chose, and that there would be no further consequences for his standing up and defending himself. Now, this is not the only example in my personal life of applying these rules. When I first started to learn this stuff, my wife decided that I was completely insane, as many people, when they first hear this stuff, will begin to think. And her family is telling her, look, you don't have to live with this insane idiot. You can actually divorce him, and you can make him pay for everything. I mean, you get a free life. I mean, you can get alimony and child support, and he'll pay for everything, and you get to make him. you know, the court will actually order him to pay for all this stuff. And again, at this point, now there was still a marriage license contract in place because I hadn't had the ability to cancel that just yet. It would have required both of us to be in agreement in order to do that. So the only thing I had going for me is that I hadn't registered those children. And if we look at what's going on with that registration, if we apply it to Scripture, in Scripture, the prophet Jeremiah tells us that you're not supposed to sell your children for naught. He didn't say you can't sell them. He just said don't sell them for naught. And the way this pagan system works is it's Baal worship. So they tell you, hey, come on into this temple of Baal and sell your children to us. And we're going to sacrifice your children here in this temple of Baal, and we're going to give you a pile of gold. We're going to pay you for it, right? What do they give you today? Well, they give you that free vaccination or the public fool system or whatever else that they're trading you for this value. And the prophet Jeremiah warns you, don't sell your children for naught. Now, when you don't sell your child, when you maintain that title, as the head of the house, you can actually extend this envelope of protection to each member of your house. Of course, I didn't have any gurus to look to. I didn't have anyone who had actually gone through this and could tell me, oh, don't worry, it'll be okay, just do this, this, and this. I had to rely on pure blind faith, which of course can get you in trouble, and it did. It got me in trouble later on. But in this particular case, what was going on was I got dragged into court on an order to show cause. She went out and hired this big bad attorney for $2,500, and he's going to beat me stupid, and he's going to get child support and alimony, and she gets to own everything, and I have to pay for everything. So he puts her up on the stand, and he begins to create these illusions, right? When did you get married, and do you remember bringing children into the world? And he's creating all these illusions for this court case, and I get the opportunity to cross-examine. Under cross-examination, I asked her if she remembered bringing these children into the world. Yes, absolutely. And do you remember the application for the birth certificate? I certainly do. And do you recall whether or not I signed the application for the birth certificate? She goes off for 5 minutes. You refused to sign the application for the birth certificate. You didn't want anything at all to do with these children. And I'm the only one who wanted anything to do with them, and I should get them because you refused to sign the application for the birth certificate. I don't get to answer a single question more. I don't get to proceed any further because the judge stops the proceedings on the spot. And he says there's insufficient evidence to proceed with this hearing. I'm stopping this proceeding right here, right now. There's insufficient evidence. This court cannot move forward. And those children are leaving here with him. So I scooped up my children and I walked out. The attorney, who was representing the wife, dropped his briefcase on the way out, strewing everything across the floor. At the end of that day, I got a call from the wife. She says, would you like to work something out? I said, sure. Here's the way it goes. I'm the head of the household. As long as you recognize that, we're going to get along just fine. From that day to present, I have operated my home under Scripture, in my view. I've managed it as the head of the house. And that protection has extended from me to every member of my household. My daughter came into this world 16 weeks premature, so she's a little on the thin side. So you can imagine coming home from kindergarten, CPS is right behind her. I mean, she comes through the door, and 3 minutes later, there's this knock on the door. And it's Child Protective Services. Mr. Albert, we need to speak with you. No, you don't. Mr. Albert, we need to speak with you. No, you don't. This went on for about 5 minutes. I finally warned them that they were trespassing on private property. They needed to leave immediately, which they did. I then drafted the school. I told them, look, I don't know what kind of kickback agreement you have with CPS or whatever else is going on, but I've never registered my creation. I created her. I did not register her, and you do not have my permission to engage in commerce with her. The wife had come into your school, scratched out the registration form, wrote enroll, and allowed my daughter to appear in your classrooms for the presumed purpose of gaining what we will loosely call an education. But I have not registered her, and I'm not giving up title, and you don't have my permission to use her in commerce. I got letters of apology from the school, the principal, and CPS. So these are when even if we were just blindly following Scripture, which is pretty much what I was doing at the time. Like I said, I didn't have any gurus to look at. Nobody came along and said, look, I've been living this for 20 years, and if you do this, you'll be fine. I didn't have any of that. I actually thought...
How'd you get her in without a birth certificate?
The question is, how did you get her in without a birth certificate? The simple answer is that she does have a birth certificate. I did not sign the application for it. That is the reason that the court stopped the proceedings in the divorce, because I, the creator of this household, actually under this system hold the highest form of title. The wife holds a lesser form of title, and she gave up that title through registration. So the only thing that that court has is her registered lesser form of title, which is completely inferior to mine. And the court recognized it instantaneously. The judge stopped the proceedings on the spot. Go. So anytime they need to be registered for the public pool system or anything else, the wife comes along, scratches out the registration, writes it in roll or whatever she needs to, right? But remember, she's only giving up her lesser form of title. My higher form of title stands. It is premium. It is first. It is first in line, first in time, and it is unquestionable in this system. That's the registration form. That is the application for the birth certificate. The key there is that the mother is required to fill it out in her maiden name. And the reason is that the state is going to be magnanimous. Oh, this poor bastard child, it has no father, it has no head of the household. No one is stepping forward to manage this house under Scripture. Therefore, we will step in and manage for you, right? We will step in and become the father for this poor bastard child. Back to that birth certificate again, right? The signatures that are on that birth certificate. It's a credible system. They fully disclose to us. I mean, you can watch the news programs and see this woman that's on there that has 5 children. 4 of them have already been taken by CPS. She brings this 5th child into the world, and they don't take it until, what, 72 hours after it's registered. That's more proof that not only is it a system of registration, but it's a banking system too, because that 72 hours comes from truth in lending. You have 72 hours to revoke your signature or an agreement or a contract under the banking rule, right? They're saying, hey, well, you know, you entered into the agreement. We gave you the full 72 hours. You didn't back out of it. You could have, but you didn't, right? Begin the back side of that birth certificate. We're still in rule number 4, which is the only true title to anything is the MSO. The birth certificate is not actually the MSO. It is that declaration of creation. I declare that I gave birth to a bastard child. That is the actual MSO. And they want the father's signature too. Why? Is he coming along and saying, yes, yes, I agree that she gave birth to a bastard child, which means what? There's no marriage. I'm not the head of the household. I'm not accepting my responsibility under Scripture or under creation, and therefore something or someone else has to. This is great. This is the pictorial cover page in a 1611 uncopyrighted King James Bible. Now don't misunderstand me, I'm not touting King James or necessarily the King James Bible. What's interesting is that it's one of only a handful of uncopyrighted scriptures on the planet. This right here is government-issued picture ID. I once met a man in about 1993 who was getting on an airplane with an uncopyrighted 1611 Bible. And when they asked him for government-issued ID, this is what he showed them. So rule number 4, the only true title to anything is the MSO. And we're going to cover the first MSO going on in commerce, which is Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. Now, if that's an MSO, and we can't find anywhere else where the one that created this heavens and the earth has registered it, or has given away that MSO, or sold that MSO to anyone else, then that must mean that the heavens and the earth still belong to the one that created them, and that no one else will be touching them in any way, shape, or form. Now, you can go through every code, every statute, every land patent, every law, everything that's ever been written. You can go through it, and you will never find a spot where anyone else is claiming title to the heavens or the earth. None of these codes, statutes, rules, or laws will even mention the heavens or the earth because they're not ours. And nobody's giving us title. Now, we do have a trust relationship, right? What's the trust agreement? You can manage the earth under this trust agreement. You can manage your house under this trust agreement. And then if you do, you'll gain certain protections, right? So the trust is also first in line, first in time, because the first trust relationship exists between the Creator and His creation. Here, of course, is the best view that I could pull up. This is, of course, a picture of the heavens. We're still looking at the only true title to anything is the MSO, Manufacturer Statement of Origin. And we have the first MSO. In the beginning, Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. And so, of course, the next picture is the earth, still under Rule 4. In order to control something on this planet, those who want to control it have to create something, and it has to be different from the heavens or the earth, because they've been not given title or control over the heavens or the earth. What they were given control over is the governments. That is that system of admiralty jurisdiction, right? The waters of commerce. That's the only thing that those who are in power now are actually able to control.
Gold chain round your neck, nothing to me. Diamonds in your teeth, nothing to me. You could be rolling 22s, nothing to me. You're listening down with the truth, now that's something to me. Know thyself, seek and ye shall find. I tell you this now, it's in no African mind. Searching diamonds, gold, silver, platinum, them the kind of things, illusions you fathom. Yeah, they call it magic. Right, you're right, it's tragic. I know, clever what they done, fantastic. Come against me now, you end up in a straitjacket. I'll prove you illiterate. One question, the language. Now who's the pickle in the sandwich? This kind of knowledge that you're hearing will damage you, destroy you. Don't worry, I'll employ you, get you back on track, so you can defend your own attack. Gold chain round your neck, nothing to me. Diamonds in your teeth, nothing to me. You could be rolling